Some people spend their entire lives hiding their flaws, without realizing those very flaws may be the reason they're special. In a small village hidden deep within snowy mountains, there lived an old lamp maker named Elias. His workshop stood at the edge of the village, surrounded by pine trees covered in snow. Inside the tiny wooden shop hung dozens of lanterns, big lanterns, small lanterns, golden lanterns, silver lanterns, but among all of them, Elias cared most about 2 lanterns he carried every single night. The first lantern was perfect. Its crystal glass was smooth and spotless, and its flame burned bright like a tiny sun. Whenever villagers saw it glowing through the dark mountain roads, they admired its beauty. The second lantern was very different. Its glass had a long crack running down one side. Cold air slipped through that crack every night, causing its flame to flicker weakly in the freezing wind. The cracked lantern hated itself. Every evening before sunset, Elias lit both lanterns and carried them along the dangerous mountain path leading into the village. Travelers depended on those lanterns to safely return home during storms and darkness. As they walked, the perfect lantern shined proudly. Meanwhile, the cracked lantern struggled just to stay lit. Sometimes its light became so dim that even snowflakes seemed brighter. The villagers often whispered when Elias passed by, "That lantern is beautiful. But the cracked one barely works. Why doesn't the old man replace it?" Those words hurt the cracked lantern deeply. Night after night it compared itself to the perfect lantern. The perfect lantern was admired. The perfect lantern was useful. The perfect lantern made Elias proud, but the cracked lantern believed it was only a burden. One freezing night, after returning to the workshop, the cracked lantern finally spoke. "Master Elias." The old man looked up from his workbench. "Yes?" The lantern's flame flickered nervously. "Why do you still keep me?" Elias smiled softly. "What do you mean?" "I'm broken," the lantern whispered. "My light is weak. I can't shine properly like the other lantern. Everyone admires it, but nobody even notices me." The workshop became silent. Snow tapped gently against the windows outside. "I only make your work harder," the lantern continued sadly. "You should replace me with a better lantern." The perfect lantern stood nearby, glowing proudly from the shelf. The cracked lantern lowered its flame in shame. "I'm useless." Elias slowly walked toward it. His hands were old and rough from years of crafting lanterns, but gentle. He carefully picked up the cracked lantern and examined the damaged glass. Then he smiled. "You truly believe your crack makes you worthless?" he asked. "Yes," the lantern replied quietly. Elias looked toward the snowy mountains outside the window. Instead of answering, he simply said, "Tomorrow night. Pay close attention to the road." The next evening, a powerful snowstorm swept across the mountains. The icy wind roared through the trees as Elias carried both lanterns once again toward the village. The perfect lantern glowed steadily. The cracked lantern flickered weakly beside it. As they walked through the storm, the cracked lantern noticed something strange beside the path. Tiny blue flowers glowed softly beneath the snow. The lantern stared in surprise. Further ahead, more flowers appeared, then more. Hundreds of glowing blue flowers lined one side of the mountain trail like tiny stars scattered across the earth. Their gentle light illuminated the dangerous road. Travelers smiled with relief whenever they saw them. "The winter flowers are blooming beautifully tonight," one villager said. "They help us see during storms," another added. A little girl bent down beside the glowing flowers and smiled. "They make the mountain feel less scary." The cracked lantern watched in confusion. Why were the flowers only blooming on one side of the road? When they finally reached the village square, Elias placed both lanterns beside the fountain. Snowflakes drifted silently through the cold air. Then the old man turned toward the cracked lantern. "Do you see those flowers?" he asked gently. "Yes." Elias smiled. "Many years ago, I noticed something unusual about your crack." The lantern listened carefully. "Whenever cold wind enters through the broken glass, your flame releases warmth along the side of the path. At first, I thought it was a flaw." The old man pointed toward the glowing mountain trail. But one spring, tiny flowers began growing wherever your warmth touched the frozen ground. The cracked lantern's flame trembled softly. So every year, Elias continued, I planted more seeds along your side of the road. The lantern became speechless. The perfect lantern lights the path, Elias said. But you, he smiled warmly, you bring life to it. The cracked lantern stared at the glowing flowers stretching across the snowy mountains. For years, it had focused only on what it lacked. It never noticed the beauty it created. Travelers safely followed those glowing flowers home during storms. Children picked them for their families. Lonely villagers smiled whenever they saw them shining through the snow. The cracked lantern had spent its entire life believing it was weak. Without realizing, it had been making the world brighter all along. Tears would have fallen from its glass if lanterns could cry. That night, as Elias carried both lanterns home, the cracked lantern no longer felt ashamed of its crack. For the first time, it understood something important. Perfection is not what gives life meaning. Sometimes our flaws become the very reason we can help others in ways nobody else can. And sometimes, the thing you are most insecure about today may one day become the reason someone else finds hope in the darkness.